If you get nothing else from this conversation,
just show up to class.
Show up to class. It is
show up. It's like the little things. Like a lot of people think attendance don't matter. Attendance is a big part of your grade.
Poughkeepsie, New York is where I start live. 845 is where I start live.
Good morning. With me, I have the one and only Analia Alvarado. Good morning.
morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm pretty well. Thank you for asking. I'm a little dark over here, but don't mind that. Welcome to Poughkeepsie Middle High School Alumni of the Week, where we aspire to inspire our next generation. You ready to inspire our next gen?
I am happy
ready
to be
to drop some jewels.
I think I do. I think I can help you guys.
Okay, perfect. So as you know, it's been a little challenge for not only myself and you, but our students to adjust to virtual learning. It's just been very difficult overall accepting this new normal. So I just hope we could, just inspire, generate our next generation with, your experiences with through high school and middle school. But before we jump into that, can you tell me a little bit about Anna now?
Yes. So Anna now, I graduated from high school in 2016. And the end of my senior year of high school, I didn't quite know what I wanted to do or where I wanted to go. So I researched a bunch of schools and I kind of just sent my applications out. Stony Brook, where I am now currently, that was my goal school because I didn't think that I would actually be able to get in. But I was fortunate enough to get in and get in with a scholarship. So now I'm at Stony Brook University. I've been here for 4 years academically, but 5 years technically. I took a gap year to have a son who stays on campus with me now. So it is possible to have kids and go to school. I'm not promoting it, but I'm just saying that is definitely possible. I am finishing up my senior year at Stony Brook University as a respiratory therapist student. So when I graduate, I will have they call it a clinical job because I will be working in the hospital and I'm able to work right after graduation and I'll be a certified licensed respiratory therapist in New York. And that's where I am now. So I am a mom. I am a full-time student and I was working mostly. And then for my senior year, I decided to solely focus on my son and my studies. So as of right now, I'm just kind of going through my clinicals and about to end school here, which is really nice.
Love it. I love it. Love the new transitions. Speaking of transition, how is your, matter of fact, if you can define influence, right? How would you define it?
If I can define influence, it would be surrounding yourself with like-minded people and people who you aspire to be, people who look up to, people who are good people. And influence is important because that impacts our day-to-day, that impacts how we think about ourselves, how we think about other people. And influence, you need a good influence in your life in order to go places.
Right, absolutely. So how has that transition in that experience shaped you into the woman that you are today due to your influences around you?
So my middle school experience was very different from my high school experience. Middle school, you're just coming from elementary, you're transitioning from 28 kids in your class to every class is different. You see different people. You've seen people you've never seen before. I went to Smith, I went to Morris, and I went to the one up the hill from Tubman. I never met any of the Warren kids. And when I met the Warren kids, they were different from the downtown kids. They were
just different.
like had like a lot of energy. Like in middle school, I seen a lot of like, kids distracting the teacher constantly, like, people acting out. It's important to not get lost in any of that. If I have to say one thing or two things about middle school, it would be to really just, friends are important. Okay, so you're so innocent. Then don't try to grow up too fast. Don't try to be involved with things that are wrong. Just try, do your own thing, but make sure that it's good. And I would also recommend staying involved with a sport or a club. I personally wasn't involved in any clubs in middle school, and that's something I could say I truly regret, because come high school, I swam varsity for 4 years, and those were some of the best bonds that I've had. Still are friends with those people, heavily impact my life, that the person I am today. I find joy in swimming, and I know that if I'm a little stressed out, I can do that. I find joy in hanging out with my friends who I've met in middle school and I still hold dear to my heart. Mm-hmm. And also, I recommend getting to know teachers in middle school and high school. Like, sometimes you're looking at them like, oh man, they're assigning me a ton of work. Like, I can't stand them. But here, they're not trying to harm you by assigning you a whole bunch of homework. It's really just so that, they know that at the end of the day, what they taught, you know how to do. If you're having a hard time with a subject, just talk to them. Like, if you take like 2-3 minutes after class to be like, excuse me, miss such and such, I'm really struggling in this area, or like, I don't have a lot of help at home. Is there any way we can, since you guys are in school, I don't have a lot of help at home, do you mind just sending out a Zoom invite to me so that we can talk a little bit about these questions? Or, every kid has a phone now. Like,
right. You can, I mean, no, not necessarily. Believe it or not.
That is true. So if you can ask the teacher, like, at home, my mom is usually at work, so if you don't mind, if we can use my landline or my house phone to call, right, if you give me your personal number, so no one, the good thing about being in Zoom, in class on Zoom, is that when all the students are off, no one else is looking at you guys. Okay, so it's just you and the teacher. That's it. So none of your friends or none of those people you feel like, oh, they're gonna look at me if they're gonna look at me and think I'm dumb if I'm asking all these questions. You just got to reach out to the teacher and really tell them how you feel, because it may seem like they don't care, but you gotta keep in mind they have stuff going on in their lives too. Right. So you just gotta talk. You really have to communicate. Like, communication is key.
I agree. Communication is key. And speaking of communication, if I was an current eighth grader, like, now during this pandemic, what advice would you not only tell yourself, but your fellow classmates? What word of advice would that be?
If you do nothing else, okay, this is the opportunity to get no absences, okay? Even if you just sign in on your phone or sign in on, whatever device you have, just sign into class, okay? And it could help you. Sometimes you could just be passively listening, and when you go to do the assignment, you're like, oh, right, that's right, I heard her say that. So if a teacher sees that you're struggling in the class, but you've attended every day, they're going to say, oh, okay, well, I need to spend a little more time on that. Or, oh, they're here every day, they aren't getting good grades, so maybe I need to have a conversation with this student so that we can get a better understanding, or help them to be more engaged in class, so that better. So if you learn nothing at all, that's one thing I learned on Zoom too, is like
show up.
It's hard to study in your own home. It's hard to study on the couch, so just signing into your Zoom. I used to do dishes because, I have a kid. I'm also in school. So I'm cleaning up the living room as I'm in class. Like, those, even though I wasn't like necessarily sitting in front of the computer, I could hear it, and like when I go back and I do my work or I'm studying, I'm like, that's right, she said that in the Zoom. So let me refer back to, whatever lecture she was talking about or PowerPoint she was talking about then. So if you get nothing else from this conversation,
just show up to class.
Show up to class. It is
show up. It's like the little things. Like a lot of people think attendance don't matter. Attendance is a big part of your grade. Attendance, participation,
absolutely.
Maybe just even showing your face, your forehead.
Yeah, and sometimes you just gotta let out a little chuckle. Just unmute your mic and be like, ha ha ha. Yeah, that's right, teacher. Mute right back. All
right. Oh man, this was such a great interview. Let's conclude it with one of your favorite memories from Poughkeepsie, from either your middle or high school experience.
Oh my gosh, it's so hard. My favorite memory is I met a kid named Tyrese in 6th grade. And we played clarinet side by side together for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And now that has been my boyfriend for 8 years. And that's like my favorite memory because not a lot of people are like, oh, they're like, how you guys meet? And I'm like, we played clarinet in 8th grade.
That is love.
Like, oh,
well, wow. This was such a great interview. And thank you so much for being here. But before we actually leave, you got to get sworn in, right? You ready for your oath?
I'm ready.
All right. Repeat after me. No matter where I stand.
No matter where I stand.
My village is behind me.
My village is behind me.
I vow to never give up.
I vow to never give up.
And be the best pioneer I can be.
And be the best pioneer I could be.
Yes, you are officially alumni and Jack certified.
Thank you guys so much.
Huh?
Thank you guys so much.
So thank you for taking the time out to be here today. We appreciate you, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
On a journey, as they continue on in their journey to, finding colleges or whatever they want to be. Just remember, all right, college is one way to go, but there's always another way to go. There's certificate programs, BOCES, certifications you can get right out of high school. You do not have to take the 2 or 4 year route and spend a ton of money. You could spend $1,800 at Dutchess and get a phlebotomy certificate, and that's a job paying $60,000 a year, and you're straight out of high school. So there's always 2 ways to go.
Always 2 ways. Left or right. Which way you going? All right. Later, guys.
Later.
My current Poughkeepsie middle and high school students, if you're watching this, don't give up. If you're watching this, breathe and remember that you have support. I need to remind you that it's not easy. It takes a village. It takes one to raise one. But you have us to support you. All right? Push through. You're almost there.
845, Kids in New York, that's where it's all live. Coming straight on the 845.